to be gentle with me. I tell you, I need to get bifocal, okay? So there'll be times that I'm doing this, and then I'm just kind of all over the place, so I'm going to work on being as centered as I can for me. But what I want to talk about is the importance of self-care, because whether you are a coach or not, doesn't matter. Real important that we take care of ourselves. And a lot of times it's hard to really know, what does that mean? What does it mean to take care? And it means a lot of different things. So what I did was I just wrote down a few pointers about tools that we can put in our toolkit when it comes to, taking care of ourselves. And the first thing that I said is, only you can determine where you want to be. It's important to learn how to set your emotional gauge. And I look at my emotional gauge as being a thermometer. And we know that with most thermometers, or our temperature, what we're told a normal temperature is I think 96.6. That's normal. Okay. So when we look at our emotional thermometer, we want to be kind of set in the present, the here and now. And so when I'm too far in the future, my thermometer is going up, 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 up. And I can usually tell that I'm too far in the future because I'm usually anxious, or I'm worried, or I'm kind of fearful about things that have not happened yet. And sometimes that thermometer can go too far down into the past. And when my thermometer has gone too far in the past, I'm always worrying about what it didn't do right, what I could have did different, regret, all those things that I woulda, shoulda, coulda. When I stay in that place too long, it's not good. So one of the techniques that I use with clients that I work with and with myself is being aware that, I have an emotional thermometer. And when I feel certain emotions, I have to be mindful of where I'm at so that I could come back to the present. And so, a lot of times we live our life based on what other people want us to do or what situations dictate that should be. And it's really important for us to determine for ourselves where we want to be. And coaching can help us to do that thing. Develop techniques to recognize problem thinking. It's difficult to know how to change if you can't determine your emotional status. And again, that emotional thermometer is just really helpful in being able to gauge where I'm at. Worry, fear, anxiety, regret, holding on to those emotions that are often considered negative, holding on to those for too long is often a sign that I got some problem thinking going on. And it's real easy to say, come into the present, be in the here and now. But sometimes we need some assistance in learning how to do that. But I think the first step is sometimes being aware or even recognizing that, some of my problem maybe, I may have some problem thinking in certain areas. Discover questions to ask yourself that can help you center your thinking. And again, questions like, whose problem is this? children. You know, sometimes when I'm dealing with work situations, social situations, you know, whose problem is this? Because, you know, I could just, you know, and I don't know if you're anything like I can be if I'm not mindful, but I could just be all up in other people's stuff. And I think what we don't recognize and realize sometimes is that, you know, we have to honor each other and allow we have to allow others, just like others have to allow us to go through our own journey. You know, I can't go through anybody else's journey for them, and nobody can go through my journey for me. And so being mindful of that and being able to recognize that is a big step in the right direction towards self-care. So to be able to discover questions to ask yourself that can help you center your thinking, and coaching does that. You know, coaching allows you, when you're being coached, it allows a coach to have an opportunity to ask you some powerful questions that you may not have thought about, that can often give you a different perspective on a situation, or it may not even be a situation. It may be an area that's great and you want to make it greater. You know, whenever you go for coaching or whenever you want to have self-care, self-care is not always about I'm in a negative place and I want to take negative to positive. Often coaching or self-care can be about I'm in a good place, but how can I make this good place a great place? How you travel to tomorrow has everything to do with the choices you make today. Develop a willingness to change and grow. You know, life is so interesting because one of the things that I find is that every second is different. You know, life is always moving, but change is one of the hardest things for me to deal with. You know, and I don't know if you're anything like me, but you know, change is difficult. When we don't learn how to go with the flow, when we don't learn how to have the courage and take risks, and have the willingness to change and grow and to recognize that, you know, maybe I do need to do something different. So that is a tool to put in our toolkit when it comes to self-care. Being willing to change and grow. Take a global perspective and let go of sidewalk thinking. See yourself as your own best client, customer, and friend. And you know, I think that we need to start developing a global perspective of things. I say global perspective versus sidewalk thinking because it's real easy to stay in our comfort zone. You know, this is my side of the street, this is where I'm comfortable, these are the people I know, this is the routine I'm familiar with, and then that's just how it is. You know, but in order to grow, in order to take action, you know, a lot of times we may have to come out of that comfort zone. And we may have to meet people that we otherwise wouldn't have come in contact with, or we may have to do some things that we otherwise, you know, wouldn't do. And that's a global perspective. You know, that's being willing to change and grow. And that's a part of self-care. You know, because self-care is about being able to move forward and not staying stuck and stagnant.